Hello there and welcome back. Today it's Tuesday. We've had rain overnight and it's fairly comfortable in temperature, a little bit on the slightly cooler side, which is great. It's a bit grey out there, but I don't mind that either. And I'm back to do some drawing before I start focusing on digital art, colouring the templates in. I started one yesterday, I'll tell you more in a moment. But it is the 27th of July and it is, it's 9:20 in the morning. I've been awake since before 6 o'clock, but I spent some time in bed drawing. And this is the one I started with you yesterday, which I'm going to continue with. And this is the one, if I just move it that way, is the one that I was drawing in bed yesterday before I went to sleep and this morning when I woke up, because this is what I do. I wasn't ready to get out of bed and I just wanted some quiet, peaceful time just drawing. So I'm going to go back to this one because that one I know what I want to do with, and this one I also think I know maybe what I'm going to do, but I'm not too sure. But so yesterday I did move my attention to getting some work done on the colour plates for Whimsical Cats, and I'd nearly finished a template and I thought, hang on, this is a bit weird. I had to clean the actual original file up. I had all grey spots on it and I thought that shouldn't be the case. What have I done here? I'd only opened up a low resolution JPEG file that I'd done, because I always do this with the templates, because I can send them easily then to the editorial, to my editor and the editorial team for review as I continue to work. And so I went, no. So after, a few hours work, or I don't know, about 2-3 hours work perhaps, I had to start over again on the TIFF image, which is the high resolution one. I have to send my artwork in 2 different formats and 2 different resolutions, depending on whether they're black and white and colour. So for black and white, it needs to be in TIFF and 600 dpi. And a particular size as well of artwork. So everything has to be done to the same size for the book, obviously. But the colour plates need to be the same size. They need to be in colour. They need to be CMYK rather than RGB, which is getting technical. Though the last ones I've just sent as RGB because it doesn't make a lot of difference, to be honest with you. And they haven't commented. But and they need to be in a JPEG format. So hence why I got in my head, I think I needed to open I just didn't think. I just went to the first image that I knew I had to colour and didn't check the file size. No matter. It got me into the frame of mind of adding colour and working and what kinds of colours I'd like to use for that particular template. So it was useful, and after a week away really from the computer and digital art in particular, it was quite nice to have that time just to refresh myself and reacquaint myself with the software and the tools, and just to get my head around it. As frustrating as it was that I'd spent all that time, but matters not, because I was on the point of going back and changing some of the areas of colour I'd done in the first instance because I didn't like how they sat with the rest of them. Beauty of digital art, especially when you're not confident with colour, or perhaps I'm not very good at making wonderful colour choices unless I use a very limited colour palette. so limited that I prefer monochrome, I think, to most others. Whether that's lack of confidence in myself concerning colour. You know, I've got an understanding of colour theory, but I just can't seem to apply it to myself in any kind of way, shape or form. So that's what I was doing yesterday. I didn't get out yesterday. I got so lost in sorting out social media and doing that colouring that time went by, and also the temperature was hotter than expected, so it was too warm for me really by the time I'd done what I needed, and my energy was beginning to diminish for that, as it does towards the afternoon, towards tea time. And by the time I realised it was almost tea time, it was too late for me to go to my favourite place to walk because they close at 4:30. So, and yeah, so it was okay. Like, you know, these things happen, and it's fine. Today, I'm not sure whether I will manage to take a walk. There is rain forecast or showers through the day, but also I've got a meditation group this afternoon, so I want to go to that. So it may just be that today isn't that day, and that's fine. I can live with that, to be honest. And I also need to keep myself awake because I did nap yesterday afternoon, and it meant that I didn't go to bed until late again last night. So, and tomorrow's Wednesday, which means it's 5 o'clock wake-up call for my weekly grocery delivery. My life is so exciting, isn't it? I'm talking about grocery deliveries here. But then, when people talk about their lives, you know, sometimes I wonder how people can live such busy and, you know, sort of like time filled with so many things, because I know that I couldn't possibly. Because if I did, I wouldn't have time for my art. So my days are filled with art and creative pursuits, often at home. And I am wanting to get out and about more, but I'm still not confident in the world outside and safety in being out there. As time goes on, that will change, I'm sure. But there's no time limit. I'm not setting myself a time limit or putting any added pressures on me, because I know that when I put a lot of pressure on myself, or I feel under pressure, it's even harder for me to get things done. I often have to sneak up on myself to do simple things like sort out banking or organise appointments, and because I get in such a flustered state about what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, am I going to be understood? And I know, logically, I know I'm perfectly understandable, but I get so stressed about talking to people, even on the phone. I have to rehearse again and again and again, even a conversation about, you know, I don't know, an appointment at the doctor's, or last week it was upgrading, or the week before was upgrading my phone and taking out a new mobile phone contract. And I've got to get in touch with them because I don't seem to have an internet connection when away from Wi-Fi at home, and I should have. So I don't know what's wrong, whether it's my phone, whether they've got to do something, or there's something I've forgotten to do somewhere. And normally I can sort these out, but I've been through everything that I can think of and I can't find anything wrong. So unless I'm going to where there is a blind spot or a dead spot, which is actually a pun because it's happening in the area around the cemetery I go for a walk. So dead spot, yeah, it's a really bad pun, and it wasn't intended. I do have to say that. I just realised that. You know, it's not a great problem because I have, you know, if I need to phone somebody, I can. But it could be if I when I start to visit places more, because I'm not addicted to technology by a long shot, and I don't have my phone out day in, day out. When I'm with people, I'm with people. If I'm with a friend, then I'm with a friend, not with my phone. And at home, I've got other things I like to do. Though, you know, the phone is a tool. I do my daily Welsh lessons on it because I've been learning Welsh in the last several months through Duolingo. So, and it's as frustrating as it is to tippy type things in on my phone. The exercises on the phone app are different and better than the desktop app. Or no, not better, just different. And it's quite nice to get that variety of practice in with me. It's a slow process for me, but the constant repetition is working like a dream, like a charm in many ways, I think, which is a good thing for me. It's a good thing for my brain. All I want really is to be able to practice it now with, and start to practice speaking with people. But every time there's a lesson on Duolingo for my kind of level, as soon as I get the notification, I go and have a look and it's already full up. So I'm hoping that in the autumn I will find some hopefully online Welsh classes rather than in person, because I'm still nervy about being in the company of people. But perhaps by the autumn the situation will have changed. At least I can hope that it will have changed. Oh, phone pinging. So I was talking about life sort of being, well, you might think it's uninteresting when you don't seem to do much on a day-to-day basis, or on social media you see people getting up to all kinds of things and doing this, that and the other. And I think there's a lot of pressure on us all to be like that. People I personally know, I know that they are genuine people who are showing what they're doing, and they're making memories and sharing memories with their friends and so on. But I know that in the past, not having a life like that could make me feel quite sad, very lonely, very, worthless isn't the right word. I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for, but uninteresting as well. I don't have a family of my own. I've never married, never had children, never wanted children, never really wanted to be married, to be honest. I've had, you know, a long-term relationship. I was in a relationship for 18 years, over 18 years, I think it was, or nearly 18. For the last 20 or so years, I have been single. And that's been a good thing in many ways, because it's given me that time and space to work on myself, to heal from my past, and to do all of the things that I've been able to do. I've done so much, and I have done a lot since I broke up with the long ago ex. There's so much, you know, experiences I've had. You know, I was a member of a heritage railway for a number of years, and an active member where I would be helping to restore carriages and locomotives. My main task was the more creative side, like painting and so on, and also do my best to take care of people, I suppose. You know, on a work day on a Sunday in the off season, I'd be the one who'd turn up with trays of, you know, goodies to eat to keep everybody warm, because it was perishingly cold in the winter. And in the running season, I'd often be the person found running the buffet on the train, which was nice because I had contact with the public and people who often shared an interest with me, or whatever. But, you know, travelling to different railways, meeting different people, it was always good fun. Being on the board of directors was an interesting experience, and you know, it's something I can tick off and say I've done that, been there, seen it, done it. My days of being on committees, I say hopefully are over. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but I always say I'm happy to help out. I'm not so happy to be put in positions of great responsibility, because the stress and the pressure really does get to me, especially when the world is full of people who are too keen to criticise but not so keen to take on the roles themselves. And I find that particularly annoying, because the criticism often isn't very helpful criticism. It's not something that can actually help and advise and move forward. It's just berating you for not doing a good enough job in their opinion, even though they're not prepared to do that particular role. So yeah, you know, it wasn't, you know, necessarily at the railway, but in other organisations I've been involved with, then, you know, it's certainly been true. And I've always tried to be helpful and supportive of people throughout my life, and I find that quite frustrating. So, but yeah, so I'm having a bit of a whinge there, but we all have stories to tell, don't we, of our lives? And I think some of the best experiences I had at the railway involved so many things. I got to drive a steam locomotive, actually drive it, full length of a line in East Somerset. It was amazing. Bonfire night, Guy Fawkes night, November the 5th in the UK. It was dark, sparks coming out of the chimney, lighting the sky up. And then around, the firework displays were starting, and there were rockets going off in the air and all these beautiful bright displays of light. It was a magical, magical experience for me, and one that I will never forget. And though you can't see me and maybe not be able to tell in my voice, I still smile at the memory of that experience. It stayed with me for days afterwards, the rush of excitement and wonder and awe that I'd had and still do have, that I managed to do that. I was given that opportunity. I didn't look for it, but it was offered to me, and although I was, no, I can't, in my typical girly way, I did. I had to be told what to do and everything, but it was absolutely amazing. I got to drive a couple of diesel locomotives at the railway I was a member of, and that was fun, but it was never quite the same. The cab rides, the fun and laughter and organisation of photo charters at that railway as well, and the camaraderie of people. Yeah, there were really good times there. There were very good reasons why I left, why I stopped being a member. And it was really at the start of my big decline in terms of my mental and emotional health. And, you know, it's sort of like, yeah, but, you know, just doing all of the things I did, and the galas I went to, and so much fun that was had. So, you know, things like that. The places I've visited with sketchbook in hand. Usually abbeys and churches and cathedrals, castles, places like that, as well as stone circles and henges and all kinds of things that just grab my attention. Museums, of course, because I love a decent time spent in a museum with a sketchbook and a notebook to write things down in. Writing sometimes is the only way I can really express or work out what's going on inside me. As I've said, my thoughts aren't necessarily in words. I need to force myself to create words. But lots of places I want to visit on my list still. And hopefully I'll have many, many years to do them in. There was a time when I had a lot more confidence than I do now. And it was actually for my 40th birthday, many years ago now, that I organised myself a short break to Santiago de Compostela in Galicia, the northwest region of Spain. So I wanted to visit the cathedral there because it's Romanesque. It is absolutely beautiful. Although I wasn't impressed with I think it's Rococo altarpiece. That really just, yeah, over the top gilded. Is it Rococo Baroque? Something like that. Full of little cherubs, and from what I remember. And it really sat there in stark contrast to the sombre beauty and sturdy architecture of the Romanesque structure of the cathedral. It was absolutely beautiful. And the other places that I visited had connected the crypt and Archbishop Helmiritha's palace as well, which were also very much Romanesque. And the crypt was more like a museum and had a lot of things in there from the museum, from statues that were no longer there, or things that had been discovered in renovations or had been removed, and all kinds of stuff. And it was just so fascinating to me. I spent a lovely few hours there. And all the days I was there, I think I was there for 3 days, I visited the cathedral at least once so that I could experience it in different times of the day. And try to avoid the masses, because I'd get lost in drawing and didn't realise there was a mass going on around me, or that there were people there, and that I was carrying on with this, engrossed in what I was doing, and the people around me were more interested in what I was doing than all their genuflections and everything else they do as part of the Catholic service. I travelled there by myself, very nervous, didn't speak a word of Spanish, took a phrase book with me, tried to learn some phrases before I went, worried because I was vegan at the time. Well, I had to be vegetarian for the days I was there. Fell in love with Tarta de Santiago, I think it was called, which is an almond pastry tart. Pastry tart filled with delicious almondy filling. Absolutely gorgeous. Had it for breakfast every day. I found a vegetarian vegan restaurant, the only one in the city. And I found it one day and I couldn't find it the next, which was a bit of a shame, really. I don't know why not, but when I went back it seemed to have disappeared. So I don't know, perhaps I just had got one road or one street confused with another. It happens. But it was just wonderful, and for me to go away like that by myself. And I flew, even though I had a fear of flying, and I overcame that. I absolutely loved it. This confidence to travel just evaporated over time as my mental and emotional health declined in the following years. And I will rebuild it. We've had, last year's been a setback, not just for myself, but for so many people. And others are experiencing what I have throughout the whole of my life. And that's not meant to denigrate their experiences or say mine is worse than theirs. It just means that I empathise with how they're feeling more than they can possibly know. It's all the little things that I've done through life, or not so little things. I just shrug and go, well, everybody does these, don't they? And apparently people don't. Not just talking about the colouring books that I've done, my artistic journey and the discovery of my talents and so on, and teaching and other things. But I wrote a couple of books about some archaeology found in Northern Ireland, which was really fantastic. I designed a CD cover for a prog rock band, which was a wonderful experience and sort of like a dream come true as well. The thing is, though, that these things don't happen daily. And I think if they did, I don't think I'd appreciate them as much, because they would just become everyday things. I'm looking forward to the time when I have that confidence in myself and a confidence in the state of things in the world, to be able to go and visit places once again. I'm not a very brave person when I'm on my own at the best of times, and now is not the best of times. And I think most of us can agree on that one. But there will come a time when I will find my feet again and off we go. But I also think that it's what we make out of each day as well. Is that, yes, my days are very similar. I draw daily. I'm able to do a YouTube video most days. I blog most days, and so on. And that's my daily, sort of like thing. But it's a daily routine, and yet it's never ordinary, because each day is different. Every piece of art that I draw is different. It may be in the same kind of style, but it's different, and I'm forever experimenting with ideas and styles and media, because that's who I am. I like to try new things out. I like to keep things particularly fresh. But it's never an ordinary thing. Some days I don't have anything to talk about. Today I didn't think I would. But I think what I'm trying to say more than anything, as it's cropped up in my head, is that we can get the false impression of what life should be by people who promote their lives and the way they live their lives, or what media tells us, what advertisers tell us. And advertisers and social influencers and so on have got their own agendas, and it's all about selling, convincing us that, if we're not like this, if we don't use this, or if we want to be viewed as something in particular, or looked at in a different way, then we have to buy this or use this. I think I've always known that. I've always been pretty cynical about such things, but it's not very often I voice my opinion on anything like this. And the danger of all of that is that people end up feeling that they're not good enough as they are, or when they buy these products they don't work. And don't get me wrong, I've been fooled often enough and dragged into things, and I look at it afterwards and think, haven't you learned anything in your life, Angela? And the answer is yes, some things, and some things I need more experience and lessons of to learn this. I think where in the past I would have beaten myself up as not being good enough, or always being a failure, it comes to things like diets and so on, I'm beginning to recognise that the sales pitches that are made are very cleverly designed to prey on us, I suppose, or to not prey on us, but it works psychologically to make you think, oh, this is right for me, this will work. It sounds just like it's something new and different. And the reality is that it isn't something new and different, really. It's just packaged slightly differently, but it's nothing really new and different. But of course, if they don't get people signing up for it, then they don't make any money. And I've had that experience because I signed up for something like a lot of people, I'm sure. I have put weight on and I've been inactive throughout the last year, and I wanted to shift some weight. And all that happened was that it was just the same kind of thing, as I said, repackaged, that triggered things from my past that I thought I had dealt with, but I haven't. So it might be worth its weight in gold, because it means that I deal with these things, and that I'll work on all of that in my own way, and having a healthier relationship with food and weight and my body. I don't do very well with being told what I have to do, and I don't do very well with things that are basically calorie counting. It doesn't matter what you call it, because whenever that happens, it really triggers me back to my childhood. Because I've always been a heavy person, and I was even taken to Weight Watchers while I was still in primary school when I was about 9 years old. Yeah, Weight Watchers. And every fad diet that came along, I was put on it regardless of whether I wanted to. And of course they always failed. They always do. Because nothing ever really works on the underlying reasons of why you overeat or what's causing the behaviour. And I should have had warning signs out for this particular one because it's, and I did see it, but it just didn't compute in my head. And it's based around CBT, and CBT does not work for me. It never has. It causes more distress than it alleviates. And so it's my fault for not paying close attention to whatever is going on. But, you know, got crumbs here, excuse me. So, I shan't be renewing the subscription on that. In fact, I must remember to go and cancel it all because I paid for a year up because it was the relatively cheapest option, and in hindsight I'd been better off paying monthly for a little while to see how I got on with it. But hey ho, you live and you learn. And I'm absolutely sure that that kind of thing works for many people. But like with so much else, we're all different. And what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. I'm quite open, like, you know, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I've worked through a lot of it, but there are still some traumas lurking somewhere. And those may be part of the reason that it's so difficult for me to lose weight in the form of an organised diet regime or whatever, because it provokes those traumas within me and automatic behaviours kick in, and when they take over it's incredibly difficult to stop them. First job is to identify them and then to work on the trauma that they originally started in my case. As I said, it's different for everybody, and sometimes it can take a long while to find that original source of trauma, and sometimes I can't get to the original one. So you have to work with the best we've got and hope that it's going to work. And I was fully aware that when I decided that it was time for me to leave therapy because I was good enough for now, that there could be things that surface that I may not be able to process or deal with myself, and I knew that the issue of weight would be one of them. But awareness is part of being able to work with it. And I am. There are things that have cropped up that I'm working on slowly and gently, because that was something else I learned, is that as effective as EMDR is, that some of the things we worked on would take weeks and weeks and weeks. And sometimes I had to have a break from them to work on something else, so that everything, all the processing that was going on away from the therapy sessions with these particular traumas would carry on. And I could return to it and suddenly things would just happen, or we'd need to try different approaches I was quite a difficult customer, apparently. Client, I should say, rather than customer, because I think my therapist, she always kept up to the latest research and training, and she'd come back from training courses and weekends and professional development and so on, and she'd go, right, got this to try, let's see if this will work with you. And I go, yeah, okay, we'll give it a go, let's see. And some things really did work, some things just didn't. But again, I learnt that it wasn't that I was a failure, it's just that it was the wrong fit for me. In the same way that I've tried silversmithing in the past, I've done some courses on silversmithing, and they were really valuable experiences because I discovered that silversmithing is not for me. I'd love to be able to design jewellery perhaps and have it made, but to actually make it myself, no, not going, no. So, no. But it's not something I've actually followed since then. You know, I found my limit there. So it was a valuable experience from that point of view, and that's how I'm looking at this particular weight loss thing that I signed up for, is that it's a particularly valuable experience because I did gain something, you know, some interesting things there. I learned some interesting things, I learned some information that sticks in my head and so on. But really, you know, the most valuable thing is that it's not for me, and not to allow myself to be dragged in to trying similar things in the future. So it's, you know, it's a cautionary experience, a cautionary tale. As I say, it's wonderful and it works for people, and that's brilliant. And I can't fault that, but it doesn't work for me. And again, that is recognising that, and I'm not a failure. The programme isn't a failure, but together it's just not a match that's made to work. So there we are. So it's nearly 3/4 of an hour of that. And I'm not even sure whether my rambling is coherent today or not. But I just want to carry on drawing now. I don't want to go and do digital art. It's always an option because I have got time, and that may be the case. So, you know, there may be an extra video out today of time lapse as I carry on with this, but I'm just going to say thank you for joining me today. It really has been lovely to talk about things. I really am going to have to listen to my random witterings and take some of the wisdom out of them and write it down so that I've got it in words for future reference. But anyway, whatever you do today, or whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are in the world, please find time to be creative, even if it's just a few short minutes. It's so valuable, I think. And please look after yourselves, take care, and hopefully I'll see you all again. Bye-bye for now.